What if I told you there was one thing you could do that would completely revolutionize your finances? Would you want to do it? I would, and I do it. But before we get into that, we have to talk about something else first. So back in 2019, I think it was, there was a study by Duke University that essentially took a group of people who wanted to lose weight and divided them up into 3 separate categories. Now, each category was going to be handling their weight loss differently. The first category would just record the food they ate. The second one would record the food they ate and track their weight. And the third group would record the food they ate, track their weight, and receive personal correspondence from the researchers by email. Now, once the study was done, what they found was that the group that just tracked their weight and nothing else lost almost as much weight as the other 2 groups. And the reason this is happening is because once people were tracking how much food they were eating and realizing how much they were eating, the amount of food they actually ate went down, which caused them to lose weight. Now, you're probably wondering, why am I talking about people losing weight on a finance channel? The answer, if you haven't figured it out yet, is that we're talking about budgeting. And just like the people who would only track their food, if you just track your expenses, you'll find that your expenses go down. So budgeting helps you in 2 really big ways. The first way is, just like the people in that study, if you just track your expenses go down. And so you spend less money. That means you save more money at the end of the month, which means you can take that money and spend it on your goals or passions, whatever the case is. And so the second big way budgets help is by fighting a huge wealth killer, which is what's called lifestyle inflation. And lifestyle inflation is something that a lot of people struggle with, myself included. And I'll give you an example. So throughout life, as I've gone throughout my career, I've changed companies, I've had raises. What I noticed was happening was my expenses would slowly sneak up. I might move to a slightly nicer apartment. I might start buying little neat toys. I started buying slightly nicer food. This gradual increase of expenses over time is a huge money killer. It's a lot like Tyler Durden says, right? We buy things we don't need with money we don't have to impress people we don't like. And that's really true. That's a lot of the modern disease of today's society. And one of the ways budgets helps fight that is because if you have a set budget, say you spend $300 a month on food. Well, as your income goes up, if you start to spend more on food, you'll notice that you're starting to bypass, or you're starting to go over the limit of your budget. And that can be used as a warning sign that, hey, I'm spending too much money, I need to dial it back. And so that's really a huge, huge way budgets are a big help for your life. So now that we've talked about the 2 big ways budgets help, it's kind of helpful to step back and see what exactly a budget is. And in plain terms, a budget simply tracks your expenses and helps you know where you're spending money. Once you know where you're spending money, you're able to save some of it and stop spending it, or wasting it rather, on stuff you don't need. And once you start saving that money, once you stop spending it on crap you don't need, you're able to give some intentionality to it and direct it towards budgets or goals, something to grow your wealth rather than just it kind of melting away without you noticing it. Now, there's several different ways to budget. There's the envelope method, where you literally take envelopes and divide your income up into, rent, money, whatever the case is, and you only spend money out of the envelope. There's like the 50-30-20 budget, which I think was popularized by Elizabeth Warren and her sister, where you spend 50% on your needs, 30% on your wants, and 20% on your savings, or something like that. The point is that there are a lot of different ways to budget. But you only need to pick the one that's right for you, because there is no single way that's better than another way. Whatever helps you give intentionality to your money is the one you should use. Whichever one that's going to be easy for you to stick with, pick that one. And so another thing I've noticed about budgets as I've gotten older is, as you go throughout your career, you make more money, you'll notice that the budgets become less rigid. And what I mean by that is, you don't have to stick as tightly to them, although you probably should. And to give you an example, when I first got my job out of college, it was for a software engineering position with O'Reilly Auto Parts at their headquarters. And I was making $45,000 a year, if I remember right. And at the time, I had never made that kind of money before. But I still I moved out my own. I was paying for my own rent. I was paying for utilities, food. And so my budget was fairly tight. I think I had about $500 a month left over, which for me at the time was incredible. But as I've gotten older, my income's gone up considerably. And so I don't have to, spend $150 a month on food, for example. I can bump that up a little bit. And so one of the reasons why I want to make this my first YouTube video is because when I searched just the word budgets on YouTube, I saw this video come up. For me, it was the second option. I don't know, it might be the same for you. But it's a movie by CNBC Make It, which is a personal finance channel, and it was terrible.
Setting a dollar amount on things like groceries just isn't going to work for me. And the best part is, I never feel guilty spending money. And you shouldn't either.
I always feel guilty spending money.
And so one of the things I didn't like about that video is that they associate budgets with sacrifice. And that's really not what a budget does, because in the end, a budget helps you, it's the opposite of sacrifice. Once you see where you're wasting your money, you're able to freely spend it on things that you really care about. Hopefully somebody out there is going to be Googling budgets, and maybe they'll come across my video, and hopefully I can just tell you to stay away from that crap. Just set up a budget and just follow it. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. Just try and understand where your money is going and just try and track the expenses on a broad level. They help you figure out what you really want, and they help you stop wasting money on stuff you don't need. So if this is the only video you ever see of mine, just listen to this and please do this. Just get a budget. Maybe it's mint.com, maybe write it on paper. Who cares? Just get one and stick with it. It can't hurt, it will only help. And if you want to see more videos like this in my pretty face, hit the subscribe button and let's master your money.